Listen up, get ready, I'm not gonna take no more. There's a revolution, a revelation going on in my soul. Buckle up, get ready, we're not gonna sit back.
Welcome back, you citizens of the world. Time for the second segment of Live from the Heartland for the week of March 21st. And once again, I'm Michael James, and I'm here with my cousin Adam James, who does a monthly sports and film report for us. We got to know each other real well while he was here in Chicago playing football up at Northwestern. He does a lot of things out there on the West Coast, and I'm really glad that he has agreed to participate in this show on a regular basis. So good morning to you out there, Adam James.
It's great to be here. Thank you very much for having me on the Live from the Heartland show. Yes, well, it's springtime, so this is a great time for sports fans. There's a lot of sports happening right now and a lot of sports on the horizon that's really exciting. So obviously springtime for many people means baseball. Yes, baseball is gearing up. And normally this time of year would only be spring training, but we actually have 2 official baseball games already in the can, thanks to the Chicago Cubs and the Los Angeles Dodgers going to Japan and playing this early season games over there in Japan to highlight our wonderful sport and highlight the country of Japan and their incredible players. As you may know, there are 5 players, 3 on the Dodgers, 2 on the Cubs, that are from Japan playing in this special series.
You mentioned springtime, and it's time for baseball. And I just brought back a memory about when I was a kid. I was 10 years old, and I was a Brooklyn Dodger fan. And I remember staying home from school and looking outside at all the snow and just hoping it would melt so we could go out and play baseball. Springtime was a baseball time.
Yes, and springtime is a time of dreams and plans and strategizing and hoping. So yes, this is an exciting time. And when this show goes live this weekend, the Dodgers and Cubs will have already played those 2 games. And we already now know that the Dodgers won both those games and that the player Shohei Ohtani played exceptionally well. But all of those Japanese players really shined this weekend. And it's really interesting because, of course, Japanese culture has really embraced the sport of baseball. And it is just amazing to see how well it's doing there in their country and how much it's excelling, of course, here in the United States again. So it's great to see baseball doing well.
You know, in baseball, used to be a lot of African American, not so much. And now we have, people of various races, from South America, from other places, and a lot of people from Korea and Japan now.
Yes.
That's a big shift in the last number of years.
Yes, no doubt about it. There's some really positive things there. Internationally, the sport is doing very well. Japan, as we were just mentioning, is really excelling in the sport and loves that sport. But so do the Koreans. South Korea and Taiwan have great baseball programs. The Central American and the Caribbean countries, as you were just saying. But yes, here in the United States, while the sport is generally doing well on a youth level, you don't see as many African American players because it's not as prevalent in the youth programs. It has to do with the fact that, baseball is a sport that takes a lot of money. You have to gather not just 9 players for your team, but 18, including another team, have all the equipment. There's a little bit more expense. Whereas, for example, the game of soccer, you just need the ball and a bunch of people to come out and play. So, but there is a lot of wonderful things about the sport of baseball, and hopefully it'll continue to thrive. And these young, the coaches of these youth programs continue to excel. Absolutely. Now, this is also an exciting time for another sport, and that's the sport of basketball, because this is March Madness. Yeah. So right now we're in the throes of the tournament. It's just starting this weekend when our show goes live. The tournament will be live, and there'll be a lot of action going on in both the men's and women's NCAA tournaments. You got a favorite, Mike? Did you pick a team?
I liked Alabama State knocking off with this. They knocked off St. Francis, where I knew someone who used to coach there.
Yes.
And there's a lot of good games on.
Well, here's the exciting thing, because you mentioned the Big Ten Conference, and there's something really exciting going on for the Big Ten. In the women's side, we have 2 brand new teams to the Big Ten. They're right here from Los Angeles. It's crazy to think that the UCLA Bruins and the USC Trojans are Big Ten teams now, but yes, they are. And on the women's basketball side, they are both phenomenal. There's of course also South Carolina, a bunch of other teams, Notre Dame, that are really terrific. But the USC-UCLA rivalry in town is going to expand to the nation because these two women's teams are loaded. The women's UCLA team has a bunch of great players, including their center, who's just a superstar. And the USC team, of course, has Juju, who is a superstar as well. Really exciting time for women's basketball. Men's tournament, of course, loaded. Lots of great teams there. The Big Ten champion, the Michigan Wolverines, might not win at all, but they are an exciting team to watch, and we'll see how far they go.
Well, there's another sport here that Chicago people are paying attention to. There's a lot of hoopla about the Bears all of a sudden. And while I'm a big watcher of the Bulls, and the Bulls have won 5 out of their last 6,
Yes.
the Bears are getting a lot of attention for their draft picks or in their trades, that kind of thing. What do you got on the Bears?
Yes, so absolutely. This is another fun time of the year in the spring for hopes and dreams and plans, because right now is the NFL free agency, and in just another month, the NFL draft. So this is the time when teams are kind of strategizing what they want to be and where they see themselves. The Bears had a solid season last year, not as great as some people were hoping. Of course, they fired their coach mid-season, first time ever. But they've hired an amazing young coach, the offense coordinator from the Detroit Lions, Ben Johnson. He was probably the #1 coaching candidate. Many teams wanted him. The Bears got him. So the Bears are looking really solid having that coach. That was the first big step. They've got this amazing young coach, player, this great quarterback, and now they've got the young coach to go with them. So now they're putting all those other key pieces in place. In free agency, they focused on the offensive line. They got not 1, not 2, but 3 amazing interior offensive linemen to stick right into that line and protect that amazing quarterback. So that was a big move on the Bears. Many people picked the Bears as the best free agency results this offseason. They made the best choices using their money wisely and focused on an area that they really needed help on. It's not the flashiest area of the team, the offense and defensive line, but that's where the victories occur. You know, they say that games are won in the trenches. So the Bears have invested in the trenches. However, that being said, they also have the draft pick coming up. We'll see what the Bears choose with their draft pick. It's going to be an exciting draft. The NFL draft is right around the corner.
Adam, let me ask you about something that we've talked about before, but it's an issue. It particularly came up when Gavin Newsom actually seemed to question his previous comments about transgender athletes. It's a complicated issue. A lot of positive people are on both sides of the issue. What's your take on it lately in the world of sport and transgender athletes?
Well, a great question. And it is a really important thing to discuss. And it's tough for a lot of people to discuss because, you know, number one, people want safety. And there's this message of unfairness and unsafe conditions when you have trans athletes playing. And so, you know, number one, I love sports and I love the power of sports. And I love encouraging everybody to play as much as everybody can. Sports are a wonderful thing. It changes people. It brings people together. So we want to get more people playing, not less. But we absolutely want safety and we want fairness. And that's where a lot of these people are pushing for. And Gavin Newsom seemed to question as well. Well, the other thing that, along with freedom, that I believe very strongly in is I believe in science. And I believe in looking what the science has to say. And although there seems to be a simple, you know, 2 genders equation, so to speak, the science isn't so clear. When you actually study gender, those doctors and scientists who are experts on it say it's a little more fluid than just 2. There are sometimes people born with various XY chromosome change differences. And so it's not as simple as that either. Neil deGrasse Tyson made a really good comment recently as he was being asked about this. And he said, really, if it has to do with strength, then what you really want to test, not so much chromosome as testosterone levels in the body. And that's a simple test. And that can be determined and then tested. But again, going back to freedom, I think ultimately it's up to the organizations, the athletes. They should be making these choices, not politicians. Let the athletes come together, make a choice, and go forward from there. And we as a society should understand and trust that when people make a choice, that we need to respect that. Now, again, going back to fairness and safety, because that is an issue. And some people are very, very concerned that trans athletes can seriously hurt a cis athlete. The evidence isn't so strong, though. The actual proof of such situations, occurrences, is not as clear. So again, I'm hesitant to create laws where laws aren't needed. I believe in less government, smaller government, not more. We got lots of laws. What we need more is more law enforcement, more being fair on those laws. And speaking of fairness, this would be the other thing that I would just point out, is that along with gender, there's another factor in fairness, and that's resources. There's no doubt about it that athletes who have better conditions for training, better resources, better facilities, better coaching are going to improve more. And so we have to also consider how unfair it can be oftentimes economically for athletes. Some athletes are just getting a lot better exposure to the tools, resources, and coaching that's going to help them excel than others. So I'm 100% for fairness and wanting to, find the right approach to the situation. And to me, the right approach is letting the athletes and the organizations choose. I think it's kind of odd when you see a gathering of young children around an old man writing on a piece of paper and saying that it's here to protect you, when really they're not so endangered. So I question that. But at the same time, I respect people's efforts to try to find a solution to a difficult situation.
Well, this is going to endure this thing. It's going to go on for a while. We're figuring it out. Adam, in the few minutes we have left, I always look forward to your fitness tip of the month.
Yes.
And this month, I think you're going to talk about weight training. So let it rip.
Yes. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. Again, springtime is the time of hopes and dreams and plans. So this is a great time for all of us to start thinking and planning for your fitness journey. If you're not already on it, I encourage you to take that first step. That's the key. The first step is the key step of the journey. Get started, get going. Contact your local gym, YMCA, fitness facility in your community. Get out there, start walking in the park, doing something. But one of the best things to do for fitness training is weightlifting, resistance training. And a lot of people shy away from it, but it's so critical, especially for women and seniors. As we get older, we lose muscle mass, and muscle mass is critical to healthy living. And so weight training is scientifically proven to be the one key way that you're going to improve muscle mass and physical conditioning. Weight training is something that can be fun and easy to do, but you might need some help. You might need some tips. So that's where a fitness professional comes in. I encourage people to reach out to your local gym and talk with a personal trainer, a fitness instructor, and getting advice and tips on how to do weightlifting properly.
And do you have any special exercises on the weights that you would recommend?
Well, yes, I do have a very specific way of training that is increasingly being recognized as the cutting edge sports specific approach to fitness training. And that's often called functional training. Now, actually, though, we like to say, those who do functional training or teach functional training like to say, this is not something new. It's actually ancient. You go back 100 years to a fitness center, to a gym. You would not see people sitting down on machines. You'd see people up and moving like they do in life and sport. Functionally, that's what functional fitness is, using free weights, cables, tubing, stability tools like those big giant balls and things like that. That's functional training. Non-functional training, or the training that I don't advise or recommend, is when you go and you sit on machines. Sitting on machines inherently relaxes your core and makes you less core efficient, but also it emphasizes something that we're all making a mistake on doing, and that is sitting too much. If you sit at your job and you sit at home when you're relaxing and you sit when you're going from job to home, the last thing you should do when you work out is sit.
Well, I'm going to have to switch my routine, because at 83, I'm sitting down and doing most of those exercises. Okay, yes. Adam, that's going to be it for this week or this month. And I'll talk to you before you come on again. It's always good seeing you on our family Zooms. And you have a wonderful time out there in Los Angeles. And I know you've shared with us some of the experiences that people are having after those fires and the floods and those kind of things. And I'm sure you'll keep us up to date on that and some filmmaking you're doing, as well as your sports tips. So we'll see you soon, brother.